Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to the Monster Mile Dover Motor Speedway as it plays host to the ninth race of the MSRA Reaper Speedlab Truck Series. It's the final race of our early season short track stint, and these drivers are getting ready to take to this concrete surfaced mile racetrack for 150 laps. I'm Seth Cole, being joined by Kyle Lawrence. And Kyle, we were talking just before we came on the air how this racetrack, it can kind of go one of two ways. We could end up seeing drivers really struggle here today, have a lot of torn up trucks, but on the flip side, we could end up seeing drivers have their trucks firmly planted, go into long green flag runs, and tire strategy come into play. Just what is it about this particular racetrack that makes it so unpredictable in that regard?
Well, the one thing that makes it so unpredictable is, first of all, when it comes to Dover, when you have these straightaways, you have the walls are just so close together. When someone goes crashing into that inside wall, it just closes off the whole entire racetrack. And cautions breed cautions, especially at a tight racetrack like this, like Dover. We have a lot of racetracks out there tonight, Seth.
Definitely do. More than 25 drivers in the field. I believe my last count, we had 28 drivers that are scheduled to roll off on the grid. Interesting statistic coming into this race. I mentioned the fact that this is the fourth race of a series of short tracks that we've been to here in the last few weeks. We kicked things off at Richmond. We went to Martinsville. Last week we covered Bristol, and now we're here at Dover. But in the last three races, three different drivers have gone to victory lane. What do you think? Do we continue that trend here today, or do we look back at one of those previous short track winners to maybe double down here today?
I think it can go either way, Seth. I would not be surprised, though, to see a new winner. We've seen a couple of drivers that have been very close to snagging that win. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it tonight here at Dover Motor Speedway.
Christopher Pfeffer, we saw take the checkered flag last time out at Bristol, so double the size of the racetrack, the length of the racetrack, still concrete surface. He'll be certainly one to watch as right now drivers are out there trying to set the best qualifying lap they can, which I think is going to be important here today as well. You talked about how tight it's going to be for these guys, which says to me track position is going to be very important for these guys, not only at the end of the race, but certainly here at the beginning as well. Get yourself away from all that mid-pack mayhem.
I've personally faced those struggles just in the official races here on iRacing. Track position is key. If you're up there in the top 5 or 10, you're probably going to be okay. But in that mid pack, some in this case probably be around 12th to maybe like all the way back to maybe 20th. That's kind of the hot zone here, Seth. That's where things are going to get really crazy.
Certainly is, and obviously there's a lot of drivers that are down just above or just below the cut line for the top 10 in the point standings. Still a lot of season to go, but they'd like to get themselves a little insurance to either jump above that cut line or gap themselves from that cut line. One driver in particular, the only driver with a victory this season below the cut line, Kenny Brady. He was fast in practice. Looks like he's fast here in qualifying right now, holding the pole position if something doesn't happen in the closing stages. I mean, that would certainly be a guy that would look at this racetrack as an opportunity to go to victory lane for a second time, join Boyd Hogan as the only multi-time winners on the season, but more importantly, just take one step closer to getting into the top 10 in points to secure himself a playoff spot later on this year.
And you were talking about strategy, and we were talking about long green flag runs, the potential of it. There could be a potential of just hardcore strategy out there tonight, Seth. Just playing with tire strategy, maybe even some fuel strategy, some fuel conservation out there tonight.
Yeah, I've talked about the fact that this racetrack is particularly difficult on the Goodyear tires, and these drivers here tonight, not counting the start, the set that they start on, only have three additional sets available to them on pit road should we end up seeing strategy of that kind come into play. Also should bear in mind, very much like Bristol a couple of weeks ago, they're going to have the stage caution, but it's very early on. Lap 26 is when we'll see that stage caution come out, give drivers the opportunity to maybe make those final adjustments that they need for a potential long green flag run to the finish. So very similar to Bristol, and much like Bristol, we ended up seeing kind of the series of comers and goers. Drivers that were strong in the early going started to fade to mid-pack and rear of the field the longer the run went on. On the flip side, drivers that looked like they were having some issues in the early going, next thing we know, we saw them fight their way up inside of the top 5. Mine, a couple of drivers in particular, that 00 of Will Cooley. We know that he's got a strong race truck. We know that Angle and the 94, Angle Phillips, he's got a very strong race truck. Those are two guys that last time out at Bristol proved that they had really good long-run trucks. It'll be interesting to see if they have long-run trucks here today at Dover, as it's officially 26 drivers that will take the green flag to start this race, and Kenny Brady officially does clinch the pole position alongside of Boyd Hogan. Andrew Navarro, who has a short track victory under his belt back at Martinsville alongside of Kyle Myers, and Christopher Pfeffer, just 2 weeks removed from his first win of the season in the series, going to complete that top 5, but a lot of big names just inside the top 10, even outside of the top 15, going to be rolling off here today that we could certainly see up there at the front when all is said and done.
You know, one driver I'm going to be watching tonight is the driver of that number 8 machine, Braxton Deweese. I know the Brax pack is watching out there, and I'm going to be watching him. Braxton has a lot of speed, and he's shown a lot of consistency throughout the season, and he's just really been about keeping his car clean. But the fact that he's shown this much speed here in the early goings tonight, he might have a shot to get a top 5 or maybe even compete for the win out there tonight.
Yeah, that truck looked really fast out of the gate. It was also very fast in practice up inside of the top 10. I think it was actually in the 5th position for fastest lap in practice. On the flip side, there were a number of drivers, including Christopher Pfeffer, who did not even put down a lap time in practice. So kind of maybe playing the cards a little close to the chest. It'll be interesting to see what happens when the green drops, of just how strong those trucks are. But Boyd Hogan there on the outside of the front row mentioned the fact he's the only driver that comes into this race as a multi-time winner. 3 trips to victory lane. He'll look to make it a league-leading 4th. Andrew Navarro right there looking for his 2nd win, but Kyle Myers, he's looking for his first. A lot of drivers looking for their first victory, and we saw Pfeffer was able to do it 2 weeks ago, so might be something in the waters here to see another first-time winner here at the Monster Mile. Somewhat dusk here, going to be a cool racetrack. Maybe the grip will help these drivers to be able to make the moves they need in the early going. We're racing to the stage caution to completion of lap 26, but Kenny Brady leads us out of turn 4. The flagman has the green flag in hand, and it is waving here today at the Monster Mile.
Green flag is out, 150 laps around Dover Motor Speedway, and the number 54 of Kenny Brady off to a great start, and he's looking to bring Andrew Navarro with him, and Navarro will follow him through and take over the 2nd spot immediately from Boyd Hogan. Does Boyd Hogan try to fight back right there?
Brillsville teammates 1st and 2nd off of turn 4 as Kenny Brady will lead lap number 1. Boyd Hogan a little wide there off of turn 4, almost got the wall in front of Christopher Pfeffer, but looks like they're all going to get themselves single filed out for pretty much the entirety of the top 10. You got to get back to Casey Tucker and Agno Phillip. They're duking it out for the 9th spot.
There's some decent battling going on around the 10th position. It looks like someone looked like that was Jurgensen that just got passed by Will Cooley. Will Cooley up to the 7th position, looking pretty strong in the 00 machine. Deweese right in front of him, already up to the 6th spot. And looks like Jurgensen's going to lose another spot here to the number 82 machine of Casey Tucker.
Christopher Pfeffer tried to make a move on Boyd Hogan for 3rd. Nothing doing there. He slots back into the 4th spot as Jurgensen's now fallen back 3 spots since the start of this race. Started 6th, now in 9th. Top 5 have broken away. It's almost 4 or 5 car lengths back to 6th place Braxton Deweese as they stack up there. Tucker to the inside of Will Cooley. Tries the slide job there through 3 and 4.
We're going to have a battle for 3rd going into 1 and 2 for a second there. And looked like Pfeffer thought better of it and let Boyd Hogan down in front of him there. Pfeffer and Hogan 3rd and 4th with Myers right in behind him, putting the pressure on.
Hogan trying to play some defense here. Pfeffer trying to get around. It looks like the 66 might be just a little bit faster. Definitely getting a much better exit off the corner, especially off of turn 4. But Boyd Hogan able to make that rear bumper as wide as possible, keeps the 66 in his rearview mirror. And as they stack up, all of a sudden that gap that there was from 5th back to 6th, that's closed back up. Tucker on the back bumper of Miles. He's brought Deweese, Cooley, Jurgensen, and more along with him.
Yeah, Tucker's been the driver on the move the last few laps. He's driven himself up from 10th to 6th just in the last few laps. Casey Tucker looking like he has a lot of speed there in that Legacy Esports 82.
Up 4 spots since the start for Casey Tucker. Another driver that's up 4 spots since the start is Channing Baloo, but he's currently mired back in the 16th position. Baloo only 4 starts on the year, but does have a top 10 finish back at Las Vegas. Another driver that's also on the move is the 12 of Jonathan Delaney and the 99 of Christopher Hill. This might be the furthest back that we've seen Christopher Hill start a Speedlab Truck Series race. He was all the way back in 22nd, right now up inside the top 20 and 18th. So might be one of those drivers that, like we kind of saw back at Bristol, trying to figure out what his truck is like in traffic, how he can work his way to the front in preparation for the Road to Pro race.
And that's what most of these drivers are here for, is just to prep for Road to Pro, as Boyd Hogan makes a move for the second position on Andrew Navarro. Navarro looks like he's going to be able to hold him off for now. Gets a great run off the corner. Almost snags the wall, it looked like, in the 42, but still able to hang on to the second spot for now. But as I was saying, a lot of these drivers are here just to prep for Road to Pro, so that's possibly what Christopher Hill is doing. And if he wants to win this race, he's really going to be looking at strategy, and that could be a thing he could be practicing as well, is just trying various strategies that might get him to victory lane.
Battle back there between Kyle Myers and Casey Tucker. Move Tucker up to the 5th position. Myers back to 6th. Tucker continues to march his way forward. And as we go on board with the 82, one thing that is so unique about Dover is the way that the elevation changes are here at this racetrack. You see right there how the cars, or the trucks in this case, kind of jump as they come off of turn 4. There's a drop down and a rise up from turn 1 to turn 2 onto the back stretch. Same thing over in 3 and 4. It basically, you have to set up your truck to settle into the corner, because if it's too loose, it's going to go around. If it's too tight, it's going to bottom out and just shoot up the racetrack. So I don't envy these drivers having to figure out the balance of their trucks here to make it work on the entry to the corner.
Just looking at this track, it looks like a normal concrete oval, but when you're actually driving down there on this 1 mile monster of a track, it's intense, Seth. It's a very difficult racetrack. One of the most difficult racetracks, I'd say, on the service, oval-wise.
And not only that, it's not really like a cookie cutter racetrack, because there is a difference in how you approach turns 1 and 2 as opposed to the opposite side of the racetrack. It's not exactly the same on both ends, so drivers have to have themselves set up for both ends of this mile racetrack. As up at the front, Kenny, Brady, and Andrew Navarro, they've been running almost identical lap times the last 5 or 6 circuits around. That's why you see about 2 truck lengths in between the two. They've gapped themselves back to Boyd Hogan. The battle for third might be on before the battle for the race lead.
We begin to find some separation right there. Navarro and the number 54 of Brady, the number 96 of Hogan. A lot of separation up here in the front. The first battles I'm really seeing is not even necessarily battles, but they're kind of ganged up a little closer together. Is it looks like 7th through 11th. Will Cooley back on to Agnell Phillip or TJ Crampton. I can't tell who's at the end of that group right there.
Would be the 94 of Agnell Phillip, who almost pulled off the victory on pit strategy a couple weeks ago at Bristol, but Pfeffer was able to hold him off to pick up that checkered flag. There's another driver just there in the latter portion of your screen that's going to be interesting to see here today, running as a part-timer, making his first start in the season as well, the 52 of James Edens, right now in the 12th position, trying to get around our Daytona winner, TJ Crampton. But you have to think, with him making his first start in the season, he had this racetrack in particular circled on his calendar. So it'll be interesting to see what he does here in the latter stages. If he's going to be one of those guys we'll see up there battling for this checkered flag. And we saw Nathan Jurgensen falling back in the early going. He seems to have now slotted himself into the 9th spot, and that's where he has stayed, just behind Braxton Deweese and just ahead of Agnell Phillip. I've got to wonder if that might have just been that the car was a little unsettled in the early going, or is he maybe trying to play out some kind of strategy, knowing that we're about 7 laps removed from that competition caution, that stage caution coming out?
I think it could possibly be a little bit of both, Seth, because the first couple of laps on these tires, you really need to get some heat in your tires. The first couple of laps, you just feel a little loose, just feel a little, the truck just feels unsettled at the beginning portion of the run. So that would probably be my guess. And then maybe trying to play out some sort of strategy with the stage caution coming up, maybe trying to save tires where he maybe doesn't try to pit here, maybe he only takes 2 tires underneath the stage brake.
He's got Agno Phillip to his inside, trying to take that 9th position. We haven't really seen a whole lot of battling up here inside of the top 10. I think most of these drivers right now are kind of in ride mode, feeling out what they've got and planning their adjustments accordingly. When we end up having that stage yellow, we almost nearly had a caution, I think, as the 45 of Julio Villalobos Jr. I believe he's gotten up and into the outside wall a time or two. It was really slow last time by through the first and second corner. You see John Theodore going around him, but apparently pancaked the right side of that machine, but kept it going in the right direction, so we stay green.
I was watching Villalobos in practice a little bit. Had some speed, but seemed to be really pushing that truck to its limits. He got up into the wall a couple of times during practice I had seen. So just really pushing that 45 truck really hard, trying to find as much speed as he can. He's shown speed, but at the same time, just a little over aggressive with his vehicle at times.
That's a great observation too, Kyle, because I was observing that as well with several drivers that would seem to really try to get a little too much, especially off of turn 4 and loop the truck around. Now, obviously, probably trying to just set the best lap they could, prepare themselves for qualifying. Probably won't see as much of that here in this race, but they are going to start to lose rear grip when we go into these long green flag runs. So whether they push the truck hard or not off of turn 4, we may end up seeing drivers really have to fight the back end of their trucks, make sure that thing doesn't loop around as those good years continue to wear down.
Yeah, we're not going to see it on this turn because we're about to get the competition caution. But on the next run, if we get another long green flag run, expect to see maybe around 30 laps into the run, some drivers' back ends are really going to start to jump out, Seth, you're mentioning. It's just really hard to handle these trucks, especially off the exit of 4. It's just so difficult with that drop off.
Mentioned about some drivers just below the cut line coming into this one, eyeing Dover as an opportunity to get closer or maybe leapfrog above that cut line. One of those was Patrick Stein, who is making an unscheduled pit stop right now. As a matter of fact, I believe he is actually taking the left-hand turn to the garage area, so that's a tough break for the driver of the 98. Corey Hassler, you saw just moments ago, the race leaders trying to make their way around him. He has fallen a lap down. He's hoping that nobody else gets lapped prior to this stage caution coming out, and there is the aforementioned yellow flag. So being the only truck 1 lap down, he'll get the free pass, and the 25 remaining drivers will be on the lead lap. But Kenny Brady wins stage number 1, and he will be the one to lead a long train of race trucks down pit road for, in some cases, maybe some well-needed adjustments.
And I hope that was a learning lesson for some of these drivers out there, because I saw some drivers really saving their tires and using them up near the end of that stage. And then I saw some drivers really using up their tires at the beginning portion of the stage, and they began to fall back towards the end of the stage right there. So the fact that we got this stage caution could be helpful for some of those drivers who misused their tires in that first run and hopefully have learned their lesson and learned how to save their tires possibly a little better for the next run.
27 laps under the green flag. Casey Tucker jumped up 5 spots since the start. Channing Ballou, Jonathan Delaney, Christopher Hill, and Tanner Love all improved 6 spots from their starting positions as here they come down pit road. And I think it's safe to assume everybody's going to take on 4 tires here.
I would guess everybody would take 4 tires here. We'll see who gets off pit road first. A very slow pit road here at Dover Motor Speedway and a very tight pit road. So let's see who gets out first. Kenny Brady does have that first pit stall going out, though, so it'll be very difficult to beat him coming out of pit road.
As you mentioned, crawling at 35 miles per hour. Brady makes it down to the number 1 pit stall. Just a couple feet away from that commitment line exiting pit road, so if he gets a good launch, should certainly win the battle off pit lane to lead us to our second and final stage of the day. But Andrew Navarro, look at that, gonna get him by almost a full car length. So lightning fast pit stop for the driver of the 42.
And great pit stop from Andrew Navarro's crew, able to get him out in the first position. And Christopher Pfeffer, able to move up to the third spot as well. Good job by his crew. And yeah, that's very impressive right there.
Love to know what the difference was there between the pit stop on the 42 and the pit stop on the 54, because according to our telemetry, the amount of time spent in their pit stall was exactly the same, 14.4 seconds. So might have been about maybe the execution of getting into the pit box. Certainly the 42 got a good launch, but Andrew Navarro looking for his second win on the season, his second win in the last 3 races, is going to be the one to lead us back to green. And I want to remind everybody here as well, as we're waiting on the iRacing Chevy Silverado pace truck to give us the 1 to green signal, that we're going to be back here with Reaper Speedlab Truck Series action next week. These drivers, they're going to the racetracks now with the monikers, the nicknames. It's the Monster Mile today. Next week, it's the Lady in Black, the Track Too Tough to Tame Darlington. So going to be really interesting to see how the drivers do there. And maybe today, a little bit of an opportunity for them to prepare for Darlington, because both Dover and Darlington very well known for how abrasive they are on tires.
Yeah, 2 tracks that are very harsh on your tires. If you don't treat your tires well at those 2 racetracks, you're gonna have a lot of issues. And I was mentioning how Dover is one of the most difficult tracks on the service. I would say Darlington Raceway is the most difficult oval on the service, Seth.
I would not agree with you on that at all. That is definitely a unique racetrack. The way that it's shaped, the way you have to approach the different corners, and of course, in the way that you have to avoid leaving with the tourist souvenir, the famed Darlington stripe. But here today, these drivers, they want to make sure that Miles isn't hungry for their race trucks. As lights are out, we're getting ready to go back green. So now these drivers have gotten 26 and a half laps under their belts of green flag racing. Now I've kind of got the feeling, Kyle, we're going to see the aggressiveness kick up just a little bit more as drivers have made the adjustments accordingly to give them a little bit more comfort in their trucks, and now they're ready to see what those adjustments can do.
I think we're going to see the 2 opposites here, Seth. We're going to see some drivers get a little more aggressive on this run, prepping themselves and getting good track position for a potential very long green flag run. And then we have some drivers like Jurgensen did on that last run that are just going to completely back it off at the beginning portion of this run and then try to drive up at the end part of the run, hoping on a long green flag run.
It'll be Navarro and Brady leading us back to green. Christopher Pfeffer, Boyd Hogan in row 2. Kyle Myers completes the top 5 with Casey Tucker to his outside in 6th. Will Cooley, Agnew Phillip, Nathan Jurgensen, and TJ Crampton. That's the top 10 as up through the gears goes Andrew Navarro. Great launch out of turn 4. He's going to have at least a truck length and a half over his teammate going into 1.
Great jump by the 42 of Navarro. Has a couple truck length advantage over Kenny Brady's. They're getting wild off the corner there. Looked like Tucker almost got up into, looked like Agnew Phillip and the number 94 and Will Cooley. They're able to continue on for now. Wow, that was very close.
It's hard to tell, but from that one camera angle, Phillip might have brushed the outside wall out of turn 2. Able to keep it going in the right direction, but now back in the 8th spot as he sets his sights on Will Cooley up ahead in that 00. Meanwhile, up at the front, we've got a battle on. Nose to tail, literally, Kenny Brady, rear deck lid full of Christopher Pfeffer.
Pfeffer in the 66, poking his nose to the inside of the 54. Brady looking to make the pass in turns 1 and 2. He wants to get up there and challenge Navarro for the lead. It looks like Brady might have gotten to the wall a little bit, very close for the 54. Going to continue on, going to fight on the high side of the 66 as Boyd Hogan is beginning to approach these 2.
Boy, Pfeffer see him get loose there off of turn 4 as he was into the throttle through the center of the corner, hoping that thing would hook. It is so difficult at a track like Dover to be able to make a pass on the inside because that truck on the outside pinches you down and doesn't allow you to get back to the throttle as soon as you would like to. Can really hurt your corner exit. You saw because of having that outside advantage, Brady holds off Pfeffer at least for the moment, but Pfeffer's not going away.
Pfeffer is going to continue to challenge Brady in the number 54. He continues to poke his nose to that inside and put the pressure on Brady, trying to complete the pass. It's just so hard to complete a pass here right now in the inside lane.
You got to be careful there when you're making a move to the inside as well, not to make it too late going into the corner, because if the driver you're passing isn't aware, then they try to arc it down to the inside for their entry into the corner, and a lot of times that's where we see drivers run into trouble, make accidental contact, and a lot of trucks end up torn up as a result. TJ Crampton, Agno Phillip, they're battling it out right now for the 8th position, but that battle for 2nd up there at the front, that is fun to watch, because every time that Christopher Pfeffer seems to have something for Kenny Brady, Brady playing defense is able to hold him off.
Brady doing a great job of playing defense, Seth. He's doing a great job in that number 54 of holding off the number 66. Look like someone's in the wall back there, right in front of the white machine of TJ Crampton. Looked like it might have been Edens. James Edens, you were mentioning him earlier, the driver of the 52. It looked like he might have just gotten to the wall coming out of the corner.
It was either Edens or it was Channing Ballou, one of those two, as they started falling pretty quickly on our telemetry. They were just inside of the top 10 and now have faded back to 12th and 13th, but they continue on. These trucks are pretty tough, though. Takes a pretty good shot, I think, into that outside wall for them to have to come to pit road and make repairs. So it looks like, at least for the time being, those trucks still up to speed, still good to go. Only thing they lost was momentum and maybe a little bit of track position. But Agno Phillip, he seems to be in action central, as now he's got Crampton all over his back bumper. He gets a great run through 3 and 4, up onto the rear deck lid of the 00 of Will Cooley. Things pretty stacked up from Boyd Hogan in 4th, all the way back to around the 12th, 13th position.
Up there at the front, that front 3 has gotten awfully close. Pfeffer is still all over Brady. Poked his nose a little bit last time through 1 and 2. And he's going to be right on his bumper coming out of 3 and 4 here, the number 66. I would imagine he makes a move to the inside. And here he goes. The number 66 of Pfeffer going to attempt to make the pass on the number 54 Brady once again. Can he complete the pass? It's just so hard to get any speed off the corner on the inside lane.
Brady doing a great job of pinching Pfeffer down, not allowing him the opportunity to widen out that corner and get back to the throttle as soon as he would like. One thing I just observed right there, though, is that Pfeffer didn't look nearly as loose coming off of turn 4 on that inside line as he did in the attempts past. So that truck starting to tighten up maybe a little bit for him, which could give him the added assistance he needs to be able to complete that pass. As, man, he nearly used the bump and run there on the 54 going into 3.
Pfeffer's been all over the number 54 Brady. I think he's a little bit quicker than Brady right now. He just can't quite complete the pass. Brady's doing a great job of playing defense in that number 54. So I would imagine if the 66 of Pfeffer might be getting a little frustrated back there. I know I would be, Seth.
I wonder if Kenny Brady is playing defense to hold on to that second spot from Christopher Pfeffer, or if he might be also trying to play defense and alleviate the pressure from his teammate Andrew Navarro, who is out in front and leading this race. Navarro coming into this race inside the top 10, the point standings, already a trip to victory lane, looking for a second. For Brady, he's looking to get his second win of the season and work his way close to the top 10 in points. And for Pfeffer, he's looking for back-to-back victories and maybe to leave Dover here today as the new points leader of the Reaper Speedlab Truck Series.
It's fairly close in points up near the top of the top 10 right now, but you're mentioning Kenny Brady. Kenny Brady does have a win on the season, but it's not a win and you're in sort of scenario when it comes to the playoffs here of the Reaper Speedlab Truck Series. Kenny Brady comes into this race 16th in points, not too far outside the top 10. Looks like he's around 45 points outside the top 10. But Brady's been showing speed in every race this season, Seth, but just has had a lot of bad luck in the number 54.
Tell you what, keep an eye on that 99 of Christopher Hill. Just completed a pass around TJ Crampton, and that truck really rotated nicely through the center of the corner to pick up that spot on the 61, who's now under fire from Nathan Jurgensen in the 31, but Christopher Hill started towards the rear of the field, 22nd. He's now up inside of the top 10, and he's laying down some of the fastest lap times of the drivers up inside of this top 10 in these latter stages of this run.
Honestly, I'm not too surprised. Christopher Hill has been one of the fastest drivers all season long, and he's looking to possibly get his second victory here today. He might have one of the fastest, if not the fastest truck out there tonight. He's proving it, driving all the way from 22nd to 9th, and now he's putting the pressure on the number 94 of Phillip.
Former winner from Auto Club, Christopher Hill in that 99. Battle for third place might be on here, as you've got Boyd Hogan reeling in Christopher Pfeffer, and ooh, look at Pfeffer slide up the racetrack there in 1 and 2. I'm almost wondering if the attempts he was making to get second spot away from Kenny Brady might have abused those Goodyears, and seeing the 96 is a little bit faster, just yielding the third position to him. So now Pfeffer kind of in ride mode, trying to preserve those tires that I'm certain he heated up quite a bit there when he was trying to get up to the runner-up position.
I would have to imagine that, Seth. He was pushing that number 66 truck awfully hard to get past the number 54, and how quickly he fell back from the 54 and into the clutches of the number 96 of Hogan was just amazing. He's falling off pretty quickly right now in that 66 truck.
About 2.5 truck lengths back there to Kyle Myers in the 81, Casey Tucker in the 82, not too far back as well. It looks like another driver might be struggling here on the long run, TJ Crampton. We saw him drop from 9th back to 10th. Well, he's now back to the 13th position, our Daytona winner. So we're starting to definitely see drivers that liked the adjustments they made under that stage yellow and drivers that maybe don't like the adjustments they made, as now we've got some traffic up ahead for Andrew Navarro to deal with. I believe that's Corey Hassler in the 25 again. He fell a lap down prior to the stage caution, got the lucky dog, but he's about to lose that lap again here, about a third of the way through tonight's event.
It looks like Hassler's just struggling with speed right now, and the number 25 machine has some pretty decent damage on the number 25 and just is really struggling on the straightaways. It seems like almost makes contact with Kenny Brady on the back straightaway. And that would have been the bad luck I was talking about earlier, Seth. Kenny Brady has already been wrecked by a lap car once this season. He's had a very struggled time of a season, very unlucky in that number 54.
Kenny Brady, short tracks have not exactly been kind to him here this year. Go back a few weeks ago to Martinsville, where he ended up finishing second in the stage, led 30 laps of that race, but DNF'd back in the 21st position. So certainly trying to get his short track luck turned around here at Dover. And to your point, that was a near miss right there. A little bit of contact between him and the lap truck could have completely turned this race around for him.
A very close call indeed for the number 54 of Kenny Brady, able to continue on, but pretty far back from Navarro at this point, around a second back from Navarro. And Hogan's really been driving Brady down the last few laps, been catching up around at least a 10th every lap the last 5 laps on Kenny Brady.
Love this shot riding on board with the driver. This is Boyd Hogan that we're riding along with, and just watch the wheel motion as he heads into the corner. Get an idea of whether the truck is handling well or handling ill. Very steady through 3 and 4. Not a lot of wheel motion, not a lot of hand motion. Let's see what it's like down here in 1 and 2. Seems like that truck is pretty well planted. He's able to get back to the throttle when he wants to, and that's why you visibly see that gap for second place closing up between himself and Kenny Brady.
That's great racing here from Boyd Hogan. Looks to have possibly the long run speed that he needs in that number 96 for Legacy Esports, driving down Boyd Hogan. And Pfeffer's been getting the pressure of the number 28, the number 82 of Casey Tucker the last few laps. Tucker has not been able to quite make the move yet on his teammate.
Tucker got around Kyle Myers about 5 laps ago, now trying to advance further inside of the top 5. We were noticing just how strong a truck he had during that first stage, and looks like nothing has changed in this second and final stage is trying to find a way around Pfeffer. Ran about maybe a quarter of a groove, half groove higher there. And second place, man, that was close. Almost contact between the two as Boyd Hogan sees more traffic ahead. Brady gets the wall down the front straightaway and maybe a little bit more contact going into turn one.
Yeah, that was some very tight racing in 3 and 4 and coming out of the corner. Very tight racing, very hard racing for that second position. Hogan was on the inside, and Kenny Brady played him really tight, and Brady ended up getting a little bit into the wall on the front straightaway. Now he's a little loose off 3 and 4. That's going to open up the door for Pfeffer. When it rains, it pours for the 54. Here comes Christopher Pfeffer. He's going to send it into the corner. Almost gets into the door of the 54. He's going to try to take the spot coming out of the corner. Now he's going to try to bring Tucker with him.
All of a sudden, it's going from bad to worse for Kenny Brady. That four-wheel slide we saw him have off of turn 4. If there's one track maybe in particular you do not want to heat up those rear tires, it is here at Dover. It is going to hurt your exit every single time until you can get those rear tires cooled back down and get that rear grip back. So Kenny Brady right now, he's going to be hanging on for dear life. Andrew Navarro continuing to start to work his way through traffic. He just got around Julio Villalobos Jr. Oh, look out, just ahead of him! Someone spun out right in the middle of the track. That was the 46 of Daniel Simmons. The caution comes out, but a heart-stopping moment for Andrew Navarro on the front stretch.
Very close for our race leader, driver of the number 42. Incident right in front of him. It's going to bring out caution number 2 after a long green flag run, approaching the halfway point in the race.
That is the trouble with the short tracks, especially when the field gets spread out, is usually a wreck towards the middle or rear of the field. All of a sudden, the race leaders come up on it as we'll take a look at Daniel Simmons and what happened to him all by his lonesome here through 3 and 4. You can already see the back end of the truck wind to step out through the center of the corner. It finally snaps loose off of 4. Hard impact into the inside wall, and there you see as he comes back up the track, that was Navarro exiting out of the final corner. I don't think there was 100 feet between him and Simmons. That was a close call. Let's actually find out how close. Let's take the onboard with the 42 because, my goodness, that could have very nearly swept up the race leader.
That was extremely close there, Seth, for our race leader, Andrew Navarro. We're going to take a look at the onboard look here, and he just barely gets past him to the inside. Very quick hand movements from the number 42 of Andrew Navarro, able to get past the incident right there and able to hold on to the lead on pit lane as well as they're pulling off pit road right now.
It is so difficult with how tight this racetrack is to avoid a target that is not moving, let alone one that is moving in the case of Daniel Simmons. Imagine if Andrew Navarro had not been able to turn that truck to the left off of 4. More than likely, we would have been saying his name back in the garage area right now. That is a heads-up move, and who knows? We may be going back to lap 64 if Navarro wins this race, and basically that move to avoid the spinning 46 might be the race-winning move of the day.
Dover's just one of those tracks you always need to be on your toes, because I mentioned it earlier. We have the inside wall and the outside wall so close together. Once you hit that inside wall, you kind of block off the racetrack. You kind of just bounce right off the inside wall. And if you have enough speed, you'll bounce right off the inside wall right back into the outside wall. So you kind of always need to be on your toes as the race leader. And not everybody's like that as the race leader. Some race leaders are they're just going to chill at that point, not really pay attention, or just trying to save tires, not really paying attention to what's going on in front of them necessarily. And good heads-up move from the number 42 of Navarro there.
When we came back to live, you saw the race leaders exiting pit lane on a turn 2 and onto the back straightaway. Everybody down pit road for a set of good years. Maybe another adjustment for a couple of these drivers. Navarro won the battle off pit road. Hogan second, Pfeffer third. Tucker and Cooley the top 5. A name notably missing from the front of the field is the 54 of Kenny Brady. We saw him make that contact with the outside wall while battling with Boyd Hogan for second. They spent a little extra time on pit lane getting that damage repaired. He's going to be starting deep in the field right now, slated to roll off 16th on the upcoming restart.
And honestly, I don't think Kenny Brady minds that too much because he's done that throughout the season. I think this is the first time I've really seen him qualify up towards the front here. I think he started on pole here tonight in the number 54 machine, but he usually starts in the back of the pack and likes to drive through the field, try to get that practice for Road to Pro, so he can kind of get that practice in this sense and try to get up there to the top 5 and maybe up to the lead and compete for the win once again.
Kind of interesting. A couple of names of drivers that are up there in the point stands that we really haven't mentioned tonight because they've been riding towards mid-pack rear of the field most of this race. Jamie Knopf, who's up in the top 5 in points, he's back in 15th. And John Theodore, I don't think we've talked about him at all tonight. He's been a mainstay in the top 5 in the point stands for the last 5 or 6 weeks. He's back in the 21st position. So you got to wonder if maybe here tonight Dover's just not his cup of tea, or if he's playing some long con strategy, as we're still going to have a little over 80 laps still remaining in this race when we get back under the green.
About to go green flag racing right here out of turns 3 and 4 once again here after caution number 2 here at Dover Motor Speedway. Navarro is going to lead him to the green flag coming off turns 3 and 4. We'll see if we can get another long green flag run here, Seth, as Navarro takes off on the inside lane.
Another great launch for the 42 truck, much like he was able to do at the start of stage 2. He has about a truck length back to Boyd Hogan. Pfeffer slots to 3rd, and Tucker will take the 4th spot as they'll battle side by side for 5th. Will Cooley, he'll clear Kyle Myers and take that final spot inside of the top 5. Near contact back there, though, between Christopher Hill and Agno Phillip. The 99 nearly ran over the 94 into turn 3, had to check up. They settle it out, though, and stack him up further back. That's James Edens on the inside, makes that the outside, rather, of Jonathan Delaney in the 12.
Yes, some very hard battling going on around the 10th position right now between Delaney, Edens, Crampton, Deweese, a lot of good drivers right back there around the 10th position right now, putting on a good show as Hogan's putting the pressure on Navarro right now for the race lead.
See it up ahead here from the in-car cam of 6th place running Kyle Myers. Navarro trying to hold off the 96, who might have messed up that corner, because now Pfeffer's going to go around for the 2nd spot. So Boyd Hogan, with a bit of a slip up into turn 3, going to cost him a spot.
I'm thinking about it. Honestly, I don't know if that is a mistake, because if you've noticed, these two tend to work together a lot. They are teammates at Legacy Esports. They tend to work together a lot. And if you noticed on that last run, Pfeffer seems to be really strong on the short runs, while Hogan seems to be really strong on the long run. So I think he let Pfeffer by to make this move on Navarro, as he's trying to make the move on Navarro right now for the race lead.
That's a good call. Pfeffer putting the pressure on the 42. Doesn't have to contend with Kenny Brady playing defense, so now it's a mono-e-mono. The couple of former winners duking it out here to see who's going to be the race leader midway through tonight's Reaper Speedlab 150 at Dover. Navarro trying to cover the inside line as Pfeffer trying to run a little bit lower out of the corner, about maybe a half a truck length between those two. And look at the gap all the way back to Boyd Hogan. There's nearly a full second that this battle for the race lead is going on back to 3rd place.
Yeah, Boyd Hogan saw those two begin to pull away, and he saw how big of a gap he had back to the 4th position. He just started to back his truck up, and then in the number 96 right there, and just trying to save some tires, it seems like, in the 96, as Pfeffer continues to put the pressure on race leader Andrew Navarro in the 42.
We're entering to the halfway point here tonight at Dover Motor Speedway. So far, only 2 cautions have waived, only 1 for cause. The other was the stage caution at the end of stage 1, the completion of lap 26. We've got 23 of our original 26 drivers still out there on the racetrack, 22 of them on the lead lap. Julio Villalobos Jr., the only truck 1 lap down, but should we get a caution, he would be back on the lead lap. 3 drivers in the garage area right now: Daniel Simmons, Corey Hassler, and Patrick Stein. Is this battle for the race lead? It's not going away anytime soon. Navarro and Pfeffer continue to duke it out. Kind of a bit of a cat and mouse game going on between these two, as Pfeffer runs about a half groove lower in one corner, then a half groove higher in the following corner.
I think Pfeffer needs to take it a little easy here for a couple laps, maybe cool down his tires a little bit, because getting after Navarro for those first couple laps, he was really driving that truck really hard. And if we end up having a long run here, that could really hurt him in the long run.
Christopher Hill going to complete another pass, moves by Agno Phillip up to the 7th spot. Further back, Nathan Jurgensen, he's going to take a look. Oh, got a wreck! Car hard in the wall. That's TJ Crampton on the inside of the front straightaway. Caution's going to fly for the 3rd time here tonight at Dover.
Very heavy lick for our Daytona winner, TJ Crampton, driver of the number 61. A very hard hit into the inside walls. We're going to try to get your replay on that incident there.
See the smoke billowing from underneath his machine. Toyota Tundra may be done for the day, as it was Kenny Brady trying to fight his way back up through the field who makes the contact. Talked about how tight these corners are. 61 trying to pin the 54 down. I think Brady pushed up. The two make contact, and Crampton gets the worst end of it.
That's what I'm talking about right there. You saw him just bounce up right into the middle of the track. There was no one directly right behind the 61, so it was okay. But imagine if that was at the front of the field on one of these restarts. That would just be insane. A lot of drivers get involved in that. As we have some pit road games, it looks like here, Seth. Looks like the front 4 stayed out, as most of the rest of the field have came down pit road to get fresh Goodyears.
This is interesting, too, that they would be coming down pit road to take on tires, because as we mentioned at the top of the show, these drivers had 3 additional sets available to them on pit road, minus the set that they started on. They would have taken the first set on at the end of the first stage. A lot of them took that second set on under our first caution for cause, caution number 2. And after they're coming down and taking on that 3rd and final set, that means that they're basically planning to run roughly, 65 laps on a set of tires here to the checkered flag.
Definitely a very interesting call, Seth, but I think a lot of these drivers are thinking that this race could go green the remainder of the way.
Well, it's looking like a majority of the drivers may have come down and done fuel only. Will Cooley coming out in the 8th position on down, most of them spending roughly about 5.5 seconds in their stall, so I think they may have just gone with fuel only, maybe planning that this thing could be a fuel strategy race. And look at this! 2nd place, Pfeffer! Oh, I'm not certain about that. He was to the left side of that orange box, which is the commitment line. I don't know if that's legal or not.
Thinking he's going to be okay. I don't think he will get a black flag for that, but a couple more takers on pit road. You were saying, Seth, looks like Tucker's on pit road and Myers, and I think the fuel strategy thing might be the case. These drivers might be trying to make it the rest of the way on fuel and hoping that it goes green the rest of the way here, Seth. And these drivers know something that we don't.
Interesting strategy playing out. Now, I do not know for certain if under the 2nd caution, if Christopher Hill took on tires or not, but he did take on a set here, so bear that in mind. He may have just used his final set of the day. If he didn't take tires under the set caution, then maybe he has a set available to him for the remainder of this race as well. But back to that point that you were talking about with some of those guys coming down here, like the 81 and the 82, if Hill is of the same mind that we might be going green to the finish, then why not take on that set here and now, while the other drivers are out there on old Goodyears for the remainder of this race. So it's a gamble for sure, but we'll see if it pays off with the 99 truck.
Yeah, because if that's what the strategy is, a lot of these drivers are going in with this strategy, with the backup plan, keeping those tires. But a driver like Christopher Hill, and it looked like Kyle Myers had also taken tires when he came on pit road as well. Those 2 drivers have 4 fresh Goodyears and possibly their last set of Goodyears for the remainder of the race. So they're really going all in with that strategy if that's the case, Seth.
Well, TJ Crampton with the victory at Daytona, Boyd Hogan with 3 victories on the season. A big running story that we've had week after week has been those 2 trying to duke it out for the overall points lead. Boyd Hogan certainly going to have a pretty sizable gap back to Crampton, as Crampton, bringing out that latest yellow, has taken his truck back to the garage area. He'll finish 23rd here tonight Julio Villalobos Jr. got the free pass under this yellow flag, so the 22 remaining trucks will be on the lead lap as Andrew Navarro, Christopher Pfeffer, Boyd Hogan, James Edens, and Kenny Brady, who elected to stay out under this yellow, they're going to be the ones to lead us back to green. They will then have Will Cooley, Agnew Phillips, Nathan Jurgensen, Jonathan Delaney, and Channing Ballou, the top 10 behind them, but the top 10 all on equal footing, I believe, as far as the tire wear that they've got on their respective machines.
Navarro went way earlier than he did on the prior two times, and none of the field was ready for that one. Pfeffer and Hogan and the rest of the field way back, already 6/10 behind the race leader on that restart here. We'll see if they can make up that ground.
When you are the control truck, as soon as the pace car, or pace truck in this case, dives onto pit road, you can go whenever you want to. And to your point, everyone else caught flat-footed as Kenny Brady, or make that Andrew Navarro, pulls away by about half a second to Boyd Hogan. Pfeffer in third, and James Edens right now in the fourth position under fire from Will Cooley, who's currently got Kenny Brady right behind him. So fourth, fifth, sixth, throw a blanket over him.
I'm definitely going to be watching Kenny Brady. Kenny Brady has got some of this track position back. He's back up into the sixth position, just outside the top five, the number 54. I know he wants to get back up there in the top five and up there to possibly compete for the win here tonight, as he's putting the pressure on the 00 of Cooley as they're both behind the number 52.
Christopher Hill, we mentioned that he took on tires under this last caution, restarted back in 14th. He's already up 3 spots to the 11th position, so that's giving you an idea what those fresh tires are giving him the ability for making passes. Now he's under fire, though. Nathan Jurgensen to his inside, and Tanner Love right there as well to try and capitalize. Top side, though, look at the run Christopher Hill gets, pulling away from Jurgensen out of 4, and now sets his sights on Delaney.
Hill was making some passes on that high side, passed Tanner Love fairly easily in turns 1 and 2, and immediately approached on Jurgensen for the next spot. Now here comes Christopher Hill approaching the number 12 of Delaney. He's going to pass him the inside fairly easily, and now he's going to set his sights on the number 94 of Phillip. Making it look easy out there, the number 99 of Christopher Hill on those fresh Goodyears.
Christopher Hill back in traffic in the 8th position, but he is running lap times about 5 to 6 100ths faster than the top 5, including race leader Andrew Navarro, who may not be a race leader for long, because Boyd Hogan, he is in attack mode.
And Boyd Hogan coming on strong on the number 90, on the number 42 of Andrew Navarro. Navarro's looking in his mirror right now, and he sees that number 96 of Hogan. Hogan looking to snag another victory on the season as we're in the second half of this race now.
Boyd Hogan might be applying the pressure to Andrew Navarro, realizing that his teammate Christopher Hill is setting a blistering pace. He just got around Agnew Phillip last lap, moved the 99, now up to the 7th position. Next truck in his sights is the 54 of Kenny Brady, currently in P6.
Christopher Hill is making moves quick in that number 99 machine for Legacy Esports. He's putting the pressure now on number 54 of Kenny Brady. Can he make a quick pass on these drivers? There's 4 drivers directly in front of him.
Completes the easy pass on Brady, move him up to 6th. Next it's going to be Will Cooley for a chance to get up inside of the top 5 for the first time here tonight for Christopher Hill, who started this race back outside of the top 20. How things changed here at Dover, and now he's to the left rear quarter panel of Cooley. He'll have the inside advantage into turn 1. Should be another easy pass. Indeed it is. Had the pass completed before he even got to the center of the corner. Next is James Eden in the 52 on his radar. And looking now at the lap times, he's running almost 2/10 faster than the rest of the competition ahead of him. So a lot of drivers might be looking around and thinking, boy, I should have taken tires on here on this last green flag, or this last opportunity on pit road as well. Those guys all banking on the fact we haven't seen our last caution of the day.
Yeah, Christopher Hill is taking a pretty big gamble right here, but if we go green the rest of the way, and if he could make it on fuel in that number 99 machine, Christopher Hill is going to be sitting pretty. He's going to be sitting real pretty in that number 99. As Pfeffer looked like he got into the wall right in front of him, Hill's going to make the pass going into turns 1 and 2. But if we go green the rest of the way, Hill has these fresh tires. He's going to drive away from these drivers, and he's not going to look back. The only driver that's going to come anywhere near him is possibly going to be Myers, as he's driving through the field as well back there. He's driven himself up to 14th.
And a number of drivers that are playing different strategies in different facets. Tire strategy for Christopher Hill, but let's not forget as well that Kyle Myers and Casey Tucker, they came down pit road at the 1 to green signal to top off the fuel tank. They have not improved their position since then. Myers is in the 14th spot, Tucker right now in 17th. Myers actually just made a pass on Braxton Deweese for 13th place, but these are a couple of guys that are expecting that the rest of the field can't even make it on fuel, let alone tires.
Yeah, Myers getting the tires and fuel, and then Tucker just getting fuel in his number 82 machine. As look like Hill's making a move for the lead now here, Seth. Christopher Hill going to go to the high side of Andrew Navarro. We haven't seen this in a long time. Someone taking the race lead from Andrew Navarro. And Hill's going to make it look very easily and immediately drives away.
Christopher Hill, short track stint, not been exactly kind to him. He was 15th back at Richmond, had a top 10 run of 9th at Martinsville, but has had strong trucks each and every week here at these short tracks. He just hasn't had the finish to reflect how strong that truck has been. Looking here today to maybe change things up a little. He waits until nearly 50 laps to go before he takes his turn out in front. And Andrew Navarro, that was a pretty big hit into the outside wall off of turn 2. The handling obviously going away on the former leader. And you can see he is sporting some pretty significant damage on the right front of that truck.
And he hit the wall very hard right there, Seth. Number 42 of Andrew Navarro smacked the wall coming out of turns 1 and 2, and that's definitely going to affect his handling. And that number 42 machine, it's not really going to affect his speed at all at a track like this at Dover, but it could affect his handling in and coming out of these corners in the number 42. And we know here at Dover, coming out of these corners, you need to have a smooth race car.
In case in point, you mentioned about Pfeffer getting the wall not too long ago. Looked like he may have had a brush with the wall off of turn 2 last time by again as well. So a couple of drivers now starting to deal with some handling issues, and still over 50 laps to go. Kyle Myers has now cracked into the top 10 up to the 9th position. He was, much like Christopher Hill, one of the few drivers to take tires on under that last caution, and he's starting to pick him up and put him down as far as positions ahead of him and drivers struggling on those older tires.
Kyle Myers has been making moves. I've been watching him throughout this run. I think he restarted back in 19th, and he's all the way up to 9th at this point in the number 81. He's been really making some moves. He's on the same strategy essentially as Andrew Navarro, except he came into pit road 1 lap later underneath the not Andrew Navarro. Christopher Hill 1 lap later underneath the caution flag.
Kyle Myers not made all the starts this season. This is his 6th start on the year, trying to make his way up towards the top 10 the point standings. Coming into this race, he was 22nd in points, and certainly a step in the right direction here today to try and pick up some more spots in the standings and get himself closer to the top 10 in the overall points. As another driver that is trying to do the same is the 12 of Jonathan Delaney. Delaney coming into this race currently outside of the cut line and putting the pressure on Agnell Phillips. He's another guy much like race leader Christopher Hill, who started deep in the field but has slowly and steadily been working his way up here to the front. Got a very good truck on the long run.
Yeah, Delaney looks awfully strong in that number 12. He's right there behind Phillip, trying to make a move in that Sparko machine, trying to make a move to the inside or the outside. He's been picking him up and putting him down all race long.
And we've had a problem with Kenny Brady. 54 is on pit road. I noticed that all of a sudden it seemed like that truck came to a stop. There is no caution, so I'm not certain what happened to him. He's on pit lane. They're servicing that truck, and it's a tough break. The short track struggles continue for the driver of the 54. Also should note that TJ Crampton, who had that huge hit into the inside wall in the front straightaway. He has returned back to the racetrack, albeit 24 laps down, and Brady's truck is now being pushed back to the garage area. Let's see if we can go back and find out what happened to him.
I went back and looked at it there, Seth, and it looked like to me that he had gotten up into the wall and maybe he just gotten a little frustrated and was trying to pull onto pit road and got into the yellow barrels onto pit lane actually.
Proverbial nail in the coffin for Kenny Brady. Man, we talk about the fact that just when it looks like things are going so well for him, all of a sudden they turn south, and Kenny Brady, who every race he has participated in has been up there inside of the top 5. He qualifies well. He just can't get those finishing results and will continue to struggle as he heads into next week at Darlington to make his way up there towards that playoffs cut line. We have to remember, Kenny Brady, yes, he is a former winner this season, but it's not a win and you're in point system. It is a system that rewards consistency. It's the top 10 drivers at the end of the regular season that are the top 10 in the point standings that will battle for the championship.
While we were taking a look at all that, Seth, there was a little bit of an incident on the track. I'm really surprised we didn't get a caution for it. It looked like Villalobos coming off turns 1 and 2 a few laps ago got a little help from Richard Clement, went spinning around on the back straightaway and hit the inside wall, and surprisingly we didn't get a caution flag, but they were able to continue on.
Imagine a few caution flags here in the past 10 to 15 laps as we watch this battle for the final spot inside the top 10. Nice slide job by the 9 of Channing Ballou, and we got a truck off the pace. That's Christopher Pfeffer in the 66. Who was running up in the 3rd position just moments ago.
Yeah, what had just happened was it looked like he was trying to come down pit road and he missed the pit entrance there, Seth, and he was stuck on the inside lane. This is one of the most difficult pit roads to enter on the service as he tries again and barely gets in there, and he's going to slide into pit road. Pfeffer, oh, and there goes Deweese into the inside wall. Deweese comes down pit road and spins it into the yellow barrels. Oh, you hate to see it in the number 8. Was running in the top 15.
Off the racing surface, no other driver was coming down pit lane behind him, and there is the safer barrier between pit road and the racetrack, so no caution going to come out for the spin by Braxton Deweese. And yet we talk about just how difficult this racetrack is. We didn't even talk about the fact of how difficult it is to get onto pit lane. A lot of drivers consider a blind corner of figuring out where exactly that commitment line, that commitment box is to be able to start slowing down for pit road speed, which, as we mentioned, is a crawl of 35 miles per hour.
Yeah, very slow pit lane, and you saw it right there with the number 66 of Pfeffer trying to slow down. He slid into pit lane and pretty much stopped because of his tires just sliding onto pit road, trying to slow down so much. And Braxton Deweese trying to slow down so much, spun it out actually and got up into the barrels so hard he's actually retired from the race. You hate to see it. Braxton Deweese had a lot of speed tonight, Seth, and unfortunately he's exited the race early.
Right now unofficially be in the 21st position. Pfeffer, who finally made it down to his pit stall, has completed his service but lost 2 laps as a result of missing pit lane the first time. And we're watching this battle here with Casey Tucker, Nathan Jurgensen, and Jonathan Delaney. More so, I think, for that 12 truck, because that thing has been fishtailing like crazy. If we're looking at somebody to possibly snap loose and bring out a caution, it might be him, as again, really loose off of turn 4. Talk about having your hands full.
Some drivers like a loose race truck like that, Seth. Some drivers like it when it's kind of like that. Delaney looks to be struggling a little bit the last few laps at that number 12 with the handling, but definitely a loose race car right there for the number 12 machine.
Regardless of how much comfort level you have with that truck sliding off the corner, certainly going to hurt the corner exit speed. You're not going to have the grip in those rear tires to be able to get the straightaway speed that you need to set yourself up for a pass into 1 or 3. And you can see that now Delaney starting to fade back from this battle for 9th place between Casey Tucker and Nathan Jurgensen. Now we saw Pfeffer. Oh, someone was really loose off the corner again. That was Delaney. That thing was flat sideways out of turn 4 into the inside wall. It comes to a stop. Looks like he's going to bring it to pit road out of harm's way, so no caution again, but another driver struggling here at Dover.
Delaney has exited the event early, unfortunately, and a driver I've been keeping my eye on the last 5 or 6 laps. He's been consistently 2 to 3 tenths quicker than the race leader every lap, and that's Kyle Myers. Kyle Myers took his time going through the field. Christopher Hill ripped through the field, so he might have already used up those tires a little bit in the number 99, as Kyle Myers is on the same tire strategy but driving a lot quicker than the race leader right now.
I remember we ended up having 6 drivers stay out under our last caution. Christopher Pfeffer was one of those drivers, as he has already hit pit lane. Those other drivers would have been Boyd Hogan, James Eden, Andrew Navarro. We'll see how long it is before they're on pit road. The other driver that stayed out was Kenny Brady, but he's now back in the garage area. We ended up having an early caution after the stage yellow came out. Few drivers back in the garage area at that point, Hassler, Stein, and Simmons. I think that was the appetizer. Miles got hungrier as this race went on, as now Crampton, Kenny Brady, Braxton Deweese, Jonathan Delaney, they've all succumbed to the difficulty of this racetrack. And we may not be done with it yet, because if Pfeffer came to pit lane and he was only roughly about, I think, 15 laps on older tires than everybody else around him and on fuel, I think everybody else is probably going to have to come to pit road pretty soon, which to me puts the ball in the court of Kyle Myers and that choice to come down pit road a lap later for fuel than Christopher Hill.
It's definitely going to be a close call for those drivers to see how far they can get if they're not able to make it. And what do they do if they're not able to make it? Do they just come in and take a quick splash of fuel in that case, Seth?
I think definitely that'd be the only choice you have, because we've already seen with Christopher Pfeffer, just the position of jeopardy he's in now. He fell 2 laps down, got one of those laps back here, but you lose so much time on pit lane with it being 35 miles per hour. It only takes these drivers a little less than 25 seconds to complete a lap here. So you're guaranteed to lose at least 1 lap, maybe 2. You have to spend the least possible amount of time on pit road. I also have to wonder, too, if you're Christopher Hill or Kyle Myers, do you have an opportunity under this green flag run to maybe try and save a little bit of fuel with these somewhat hard braking zones into 1 and 3?
I think that's what you kind of have to do right here. You can kind of do that at a track like Dover, because it's really all about patience in the center of the corner. You can just kind of get completely off the gas all the way until the center, almost the exit of the corner, once those tires are really worn out. So you can save a lot of fuel at a track like Dover under green flag conditions.
Andrew Navarro on pit lane in the 42, I believe. No, correction, he actually got the wall, and he is dropping back. I thought, since I saw him slowly dropping down my telemetry, that he might be coming to pit lane, but instead he's going to drop from 4th all the way back to 8th, and now I think he might be indicating he's coming to pit road. Oh, hang on to her. That thing nearly snapping around on him. May have actually helped his entry onto pit road, to be honest.
That's what I was about to say, Seth. It actually looked like it might have helped him slow down to get onto pit road, the number 42. He's been really struggling with that race truck, Seth, ever since he got the wall. That handling is just completely off in that number 42. He just seems wicked tight in that number 42, Andrew Navarro.
Keep an eye out for Boyd Hogan and James Edens. Those are going to be a couple of drivers we'll probably see on pit road in the near future as well, as Christopher Hill continues to show the weight. You can see, even though this strategy for the time being has been playing out to his benefit, he has not been able to get away from Miles the Monster. Some pretty significant damage on that right front, and I saw him about 10 laps ago. That car get a little squirrely off of turn 2. He also has bigger things to worry about, because less than a second back now. There you see, same straightaway, is the 81 of Kyle Myers, rapidly closing in.
Myers has been closing that gap every single lap. I mentioned it earlier, was closing in 2 to 3 tenths every lap. He has not stopped that. He's still cutting it around 2 to 3 tenths every lap. That last time by a little under 2 tenths, it looked like 0.18 roughly, number 81 of Myers, but he continues to cut at that gap, number 81, just trying to get up there, take the race lead for the first time today from Christopher Hill with just under 20 laps to go in a few laps.
Christopher Hill now closing up on slower traffic. I believe that is the 18 of Troy Hutchinson. Last truck, or correction, I was going to say last truck on the lead lap, but he is right now a lap down in the 16th position. Hill going to get to the inside of him, move his way by. Correction, that was actually Robert Tracy in the 14 truck going a lap down. Myers looking to make the pass here into turn 1. And he will complete that pass, and getting held up behind the 14 truck, now closed up what was 0.6 of a second to now a little less than 0.4 of a second between the 99 and the 81. But again, the big question of fuel. Can these guys make it the rest of the way? We've still yet to see Boyd Hogan or James Edens come to pit lane, so we're getting closer to that answer being a definitive yes.
Now we're under 20 laps to go here. We're going to see who can make it on fuel. Here comes Navarro. He's going to come speeding past the race leaders on those fresh tires. But Myers continues to close in the number 81. How does he make the move? And Navarro has to make an evasive move to the outside, almost contact with the race leader right there. But how does Myers make the pass? Does he make the move on the outside? Does Hill give him space? Because it seems like Myers has a lot more speed than Hill does right now.
Saw in the early stages drivers battling for spots inside of the top 5 and really having to struggle and work very hard to get those passes made. In the case of Kyle Myers, catching Christopher Hill is one thing, passing him is another. Both drivers on equal footing as far as the tires underneath them. Now it comes down to who's got the better handling race truck, and maybe too, who's been able to keep their truck in pristine condition for that aerodynamic soundness down the front straightaway. Christopher Hill peeling to the inside, maybe trying to run a defensive line against Kyle Myers, forces him to the top. Myers going to take that challenge. Nice exit out of turn 4. Let's see if he can make a move into 1.
Myers putting the pressure on at this point. He's right there within striking distance of the number 99. The number 99 ran it a little high in the corner. He's going to be very slow off the corner. Hill did not get off the corner very well there. It's going to open up the door for Myers to the inside. Here comes the 81 of Kyle Myers, looking to take the race lead for the first time today. Hill is not going to give him any space off the corner.
Drag race to the line this time. Hill will lead another lap. Inside advantage, the shorter way around the racetrack to Myers. Slides up just a little bit. Hill looks to put the pinch on him off of 2. That's still a dead even heat between these two down the back straightaway. Neither driver giving up an inch as now Myers to the inside, slides up, takes the spot. Hill looks to cross him over out of 4.
Hill attempts the crossover, but was not able to get out of the corner strong enough there, and Myers able to hold that truck length gap for now. Is he able to continue to pull away, or does Hill reel him back in? And do we stay green? Do we get another caution before the end of this thing? Do these drivers have enough gas?
Kyle Myers not wanting to make eye contact with the flagman every time he comes out of turn 4 because he doesn't want to look up and see a yellow flag in the flagman's hands. He wants to complete these final 12 circuits and pick up the first win of his career here in the Reaper Speedlab Truck Series. He is moments away from making it a perfect 4 for 4 in different drivers going to victory lane during this short track stint. The quadfecta of Richmond, Martinsville, Bristol, and now here at Dover. We had a driver, I believe, just moments ago hitting pit lane. Not certain who that was. It was TJ Crampton, the 61, who, by the way, remember we saw him take that hard hit into the inside wall. He got the truck repaired, returned back to the track. He has since then bypassed Kenny Brady and Braxton Deweese. He's about 5 laps away from picking up 20th from Jonathan Delaney. So certainly not the run he was looking for here tonight, but picking up positions and picking up points since that truck is still running.
Definitely a very good job from TJ Crampton if he wants to still compete for the regular season points lead with Boyd Hogan in the number 96. He comes into this race just 21 points outside of the points lead.
James Edens in the 52 was just on pit lane, and Boyd Hogan was very slow on the top side, letting drivers by. I believe he may be clutching, trying to save enough fuel to make it to the end.
That's a very big possibility here, Seth. Hogan might be super close on fuel, and he's just trying to save those last little bits to make sure he can make it. I know a lot of these drivers are going to be very close on fuel here at the end, and we're going to see some driver. And here comes Hogan down pit road. Hogan decided he couldn't make it. He's coming down pit road right now. He scorches the tires coming in, but he got underneath the speed limit, it looked like.
Boyd Hogan has finished in the top 10 in all but 2 races this season. This may be the 3rd time he will not finish inside of the top 10 here this year, as we saw a great battle for what was then the 10th position, now make it 9th. Kevin Roy right now in P9. John Theodore, we finally talk about him in the closing stages. This seems to be his MO. He's now in the 10th spot. Those 2 drivers picking up the opportunities laid down by the misfortunes of others running ahead of them.
Yeah, John Theodore looking to come out with another good run here today. He's been running around 20th or 15th most of the day, actually. Been really struggling, it seems like, in the number 27, or maybe he was just saving his truck for this exact moment, Seth.
Going to be 5 laps to go this next time by. Myers the leader, Hill in 2nd, Casey Tucker in 3rd. Let's not forget that Casey Tucker came down pit road the same lap that Kyle Myers did. He didn't take on tires, though. He just took on fuel, and he's been able to now work his way up into an opportunity to finish on the podium. Will Cooley and Agno Phillips right now completing your top 5, but it's a big question of those guys back there. Can they make it the rest of the way on fuel? They're going to have 5 more circuits, now 4 this time by, to figure it out.
Kyle Myers coming to 4 laps to go. Does he have enough fuel in the tank to make it to the finish? Will that one extra lap underneath the caution flag help him out here to get him to the finish? Who can make it? Who can't make it? We already saw Hogan come down pit road. Who else will come down?
Incredible if you look at Kyle Myers and Christopher Hill, the strategies that they both played out after our 3rd and what looks to possibly be final caution of the day. Both electing to take their final set of tires, believing this race was going to go green the rest of the way. They look like geniuses right now, but look at where these 2 were, not only in the race today, but in the standings. Christopher Hill started deep in the field, worked his way up to the race lead, a driver who has formerly won at Auto Club and comes in the top 10 in the point stands. On the flip side, Kyle Myers started this race up on the outside of row 2. He waited till about 25 laps to go before he finally got to the front, and he is way down in the running order of the standings, came into this race outside the top 20 in points. Both of these drivers put it all on the line in terms of strategies for different reasons, but this time by, the flag Kyle Myers wants to see, the white flags in the air at Dover.
Final lap here at Dover Motor Speedway. Kyle Myers just needs to take it easy at this point. He sees Boyd Hogan right behind him on those fresh tires possibly. He needs to just let him by, it looks like right here. And the number 81 gets to the checkered flag safely, coming off turns 3 and 4.
We are gonna go 4 for 4 in different winners for the short track stint. The latest is Kyle Myers here tonight at Dover Motor Speedway. He tames the monster in Dover, Delaware.
What a race from Kyle Myers. Ran around 5th or 6th most of the race. A great strategy. Put him out in front on those 4 fresh tires. A great move from him and Hill, giving them a 1-2 finish here.
Unbelievable job by Kyle Myers and that 81 truck out of Legacy Esports. Able to complete the pass on Christopher Hill, pull away, and more importantly, had the fuel to get to the finish. Hopefully he's got enough left in the tank as he now gets ready to burn it down here in Dover, Delaware, in front of these Dover Motor Speedway fans. The elation in that truck, you can just see it, as I think this is going to be a pretty long celebration.
Great job from Kyle Myers, and a lot of congratulations from his teammates. Christopher Hill gave him a little congratulations, and Pfeffer gave him a little bit too much of a congratulations. Pfeffer went slammed into the outside wall. So this is definitely not just a win for the number 81 of Myers, but a win for, it looks like, the whole team.
The 1-2-3 podium finish for Legacy Esports, with Hill and Tucker completing the top 3. Will Cooley with another great run in back-to-back weeks in 4th. Same for Agno Phillip in 5th. So it looks like a lot of the drivers that did well a couple of weeks ago at Bristol followed it up with great runs here today. at Dover. Let's take a look at the official finishing results. A lot of different storylines here today leading to who finished where. You gave you the top five. Nathan Jurgensen held on for sixth. How about Channing Ballou? Started deep in the field. At one point, I believe, got up into the outside wall. He finishes seventh. Kevin Roy, who's trying to keep himself up there in the latter half of the top 10 above that cut line. Another solid top 10 run for him today in eighth. Tanner Love made his way up into the top 10 late for ninth. And John Theodore, who started deep in the field and I emphasize the word slowly made his way up to the top 10, snagging that final 10th position. But we start going further down here outside of the top 10 and start to see some of these drivers that were up there at the front in the early going finishing outside of the top 10 as a result of Miles the Monster playing his part in today's race.
We have Christopher Pfeffer back here who had a lot of speed. Andrew Navarro had a whole bunch of laps, and ever since he got the wall there late, just didn't have the speed anymore and was really struggling with his handling. And then, of course, Boyd Hogan, we noted him, was running in the top 10 right there before he had to make a pit stop near the end because he looked like he wasn't going to make it on fuel there.
He ends up finishing 2 laps down the 18th position. It's the third time this season that Boyd Hogan finishes outside of the top 10. Point of note, the 6 drivers that stayed out for that final restart, none of them were able to make it without coming to pit road for fuel. Braxton Deweese saw him make the contact with the pit wall, the entry to pit road. He finishes out of the race in 21st. TJ Crampton going to take a hit in the point standings here today. He was able to make his way up to 22nd in the finishing results, but certainly a far cry from what he was hoping for. Kenny Brady, we already documented the struggles he has had here this season, especially at the short tracks. It continues here today. And then Daniel Simmons, he was involved in what brought out our first caution for cause. Corey Hassler and Patrick Stein, they didn't make it to the halfway point of this race as well, finishing back in the garage area. I'll tell you what, though, one track already that's got a moniker, the Monster Mile, and these drivers now have to gear up next week for the Lady in Black Darlington Raceway. Tell you what, I think a couple of drivers went to school in the fact that the tracks, they aren't named like this for no reason. They've got their characteristics, and then they're willing to show them during the course of these events.
They really do, Seth, and we saw that here tonight with Dover. The Monster Mile proved why it's called the Monster Mile because it took out a lot of drivers here tonight, and the Lady in Black is gonna break a lot of hearts next week.
Certainly is. Well, some drivers whose hearts are not broken, they've got smiles on their faces, are our podium finishers here tonight. And let's see if we can talk with them about the struggles they may have had to deal with during the course of this race. Let's see if we can kick things off with tonight's third place finisher, Casey Tucker. Hey, Casey, it's Kyle and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, man. How's it going?
I'll tell you what, we had a blast observing the race up here, but it looked like just about everybody out there on the racetrack today were dealing with struggles in some way, shape, or form. You were able to pull off some really good strategy there, coming down pit road, topping off that fuel tank in the belief we were going green to the end. That was a 100 IQ play for certain. Get you third place, but just how hard you have to work for it here today.
Yeah, man. It was. I definitely knew I had to top off the fuel because there was no way I was gonna make it otherwise. But yeah, man. It was a long haul coming through the field. It took a lot of patience, honestly. I knew I had the truck to do it. I just I knew I had to take it easy and not do anything stupid and ride it off on the way through the field. But yeah, it worked out. Managed to get to third. I didn't want to use my tires up. The other guys used their set of tires. If they'd had a caution, they'd have been in trouble because I think I would have had it at that point. But didn't fall our way with the cautions. Ended up third. Not bad. Pretty good day.
Not sure if Kyle's there. So, Casey, I'll ask you real quickly here as well. We saw, obviously, that certain drivers believed that we were going to see a couple of cautions prior to the end of this race. Were you surprised that this thing went green to the finish? Because we had a lot of different drivers and varying strategies as far as tires. Some guys stayed out on that last caution. Some drivers came down, took fuel only, and then you had a remote few like yourself that were on those fresh Goodyears. And we saw in the early portions of the race just how tight the racing really was.
Yeah, man, honestly a couple of times coming through the field I thought there was going to be a caution, and at that point there was going to be a race for me at least, a chance to win. I knew I wasn't winning otherwise, but yeah, there was a few hectic moments here and there, but yeah, I mean I was actually on the older tires, so all I had was fuel in the car. I actually didn't have any fresher tires than anybody else in the field, so like I said, it was a pretty long haul coming through the field, but we managed to pull it off. The car was good, that helped, and everybody raced me pretty clean. So overall pretty good last stint, really.
The one thing we were talking about was just how abrasive this track is on the tires, and we look ahead to next week. We know you're running on a part-time schedule, but I mean, is there anything as far as tire wear and tire conservation from today that you can then take with you as notes heading into another track that is equally as hard on the Goodyears in Darlington?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you always kind of want to run to a pace. Even if you could go faster, you maybe keep it a little under that outright maximum amount of speed that the tires can give you. So you'll have something later on. I had pretty good tire wear there by the end of it, so I was pretty pleased with the balance of the car. Uh, Honestly, you go to any of these tracks that beat the tires up, and you have to kind of just race smart. Use them when you have to, but don't use them when you don't have to. For lack of a better way to put it. But yeah, I mean, having a good handling truck helps, and the guys over at Legacy and Reaper Speed Labs, had it pretty hooked up tonight.
Well, we knew you had a fast truck. We saw you cut your way through the field in the early stages of this race. You played the strategy to bring it home on the podium, so congratulations on that. And now we'll give it the opportunity to do some thank yous and shout out some people and sponsors that got you to this point.
Yeah, man. As always, got to thank Blackstone Management Partners. Got to thank Champion Power Equipment, Curb Records, Green Mountain Grills, everybody at Legacy Esports who works on the truck, Reaper Speed Labs. You know how it is. You got to have all the guys back at the shop that help out every week and keep it going in circles, really. So can't thank all those guys enough. But thank y'all for the broadcast, and hope y'all have a good night.
That is Casey Tucker. He's your third place finisher here tonight at the Monster Mile. Congratulations once again. And if we see you next week at Darlington, best of luck there.
Heck yeah, man. Take it easy, guys.
All right, let's see if we can get the runner-up finisher here tonight. He was close to picking up win number 2 on the season. Christopher Hill. Hey, Chris, it's Kyle and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
I got you.
And I'll tell you what, we saw a lot of strategy calls there in the closing stages that what people thought was last caution, thinking it was going to go green to the end. You and a couple of drivers electing to take on those fresh Goodyears. It worked out in the end, but what was the deciding factor there in that battle between you and the 81? Because you certainly had the track position advantage on him on that restart.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to test something for tomorrow to see what, 10, 15 lap tires would mean, and they obviously mean a whole lot. But, when we went green there, I honestly didn't save any tire at all. I just full sent it through the field, and I mean, I just completely destroyed the tires. So Kyle methodically worked through the field, and I mean, the damage was already done to the boots by the time he got to me. So, I mean, really just my tires were destroyed and his weren't when it was all said and done.
Obviously, we know you would have loved to have picked up your second win on the season, but if we look at the overall point standings as well, a lot of drivers that were ahead of you in the point standings struggling here today, whether it was getting involved in some wrecks, pit road coming into play, a couple of drivers not able to make it on fuel. You ended up finishing several positions ahead of drivers like Pfeffer, like Crampton, Boyd Hogan, the points leaders. So obviously, this run here tonight giving you some really good points and some really good footing heading into Darlington next week.
Yeah, I think there is a regular season champ bonus for the playoffs. So I mean, obviously, gonna try to. Last couple of weeks we've gotten wrecked out, so we've got to string together some good points finishes if we're gonna have any shot at that. But I mean, with a win under your belt, points racing is all fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, wins mean everything. So it's good to have momentum. We'll have something to build off of for the next couple of weeks.
Interesting you brought up the word experimenting for tomorrow with the strategy you played out here tonight. I asked your teammate Tucker just moments ago if there's anything with the tire notes of what you experienced with the wear here at Dover that you then might apply next week when we go to an equally abrasive track like Darlington.
Yeah, I think Dover and Darlington will have similar amounts of fall off and probably at the same pace as here, so I think it'll be about the same. You probably don't want to be the first guy down pit road, and 15 lap fresher tires will mean a whole lot if you get a long enough run to use them. So I think it'll transfer hand in hand.
Well, Chris, a tremendous run for you here tonight. You bring it home second place. Congratulations. We saw you have to start deep in the field and work your way up, but you did a tremendous job of methodically getting yourself up to the front. Almost pulled it off. Still, great performance and great points, as I mentioned as well. Going to be interesting to see where you're positioned in the standings when we get to the Lady in Black next week. Now we'll give you the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
I got to thank everybody over at Legacy Esports, all of Blackstone Management, all of our partners with them, everything they do for us, and everybody this week for turning a lot of laps and getting the truck ready.
That's Christopher Hill. He's your runner-up finisher here tonight at Dover Motor Speedway. Congratulations once again on the great result, and best of luck next week at Darlington.
Thank you.
All right, let's go down to Victory Lane and see if we can talk with first-time winner on the season, Kyle Myers. Kyle, it's Kyle and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, what a run for you here today. Really, it came down to strategy, that one strategy call on what proved to be the final restart of the evening. But, I mean, you ended up coming down pit road one lap later than the 99, so you knew you were going to be a little bit better on fuel. Which were you more concerned about, though? Was it the fuel or was it the tires?
Yeah, more so the tires and how fast we could get through the field there. And then trying not to burn as much off. I think if Chris wouldn't have maybe tapped the wall there at one point, then it would have been, I don't know, just from air if I'd ever been able to get around him.
We talked about it at the top of the show, just how difficult it is to pass here at a track like Dover with how tight the racing is. We even saw in the case of battles up inside of the top five how difficult it was to complete passes on the inside line, that driver on the outside having the opportunity to pinch you down, not let you get that corner exit. Now throw into the fact that you had fresher tires than everybody else around you and had to really tread your way carefully through all those other drivers that were much slower than you were. I mean, how difficult was that to try and figure out where everybody's braking zones and lifting points were, knowing that you could drive it into the corner a lot deeper?
Yeah, really tiptoed through there. A lot of guys kind of knew what was happening, so they'd kind of move up and let you do your thing. And then others, you kind of had to be a little more cautious around them to make sure that they weren't looking in their mirror on exit, smoke the wall. I mean, it's pretty common at Dover. People hit the wall and then ended up getting into you. But luckily made it through the field and had a little tire left to kind of race Chris there.
We've obviously got a long ways to go here in the regular season until the playoff grid is put together, and with it not being a win in your in system, this victory obviously great. It's going to help you gain a lot of points, but got to keep that consistency up. So now that you finally got that win in the bank, what's the strategy heading into other tracks like Darlington, Kansas, Iowa that are coming up?
I mean, just more so wins, good runs. I mean, a lot of this is, it sets you up for tomorrow night, obviously. So the more data, the better on that. And surely the more laps you run, the better the finishes are going to be and more consistent they're going to be. So, of course, a couple more wins would be pretty nice. But, there's a lot of good guys in this league, a lot of them on, legacy. And it's really just being consistent and hopefully making it in.
Well, the strategy certainly worked out for you here tonight. Congratulations on capturing your first checkered flag of the season. And now we're going to hand the mic over to you for some Victory Lane thank you sponsors and shoutouts, Kyle.
Yeah, just thank everybody over at Legacy Esports and the work that, everybody's put into this, all the runs that everybody's done. Blackstone Management, all their partners and everything they do for the team. GMG, Curb, everybody over there on that side, and thank you guys for putting it on.
That's Kyle Myers. He gets the checkered flag here tonight in the Reaper Speedlab 150 at Dover. Congratulations once again, Kyle. And as you said, hopefully we can see you ride this momentum, maybe pick up another checkered flag next week at the track Too Tough to Tame of Darlington.
Yep, hopefully. Thanks, guys.
So as Kyle Myers continues to celebrate down in victory lane, that brings our coverage here this evening at Dover Motor Speedway to a close. Kyle, never a dull moment here this evening. We saw everything from hard racing for position to strategy calls. We even saw a couple of drivers have some near misses and almost have their race completely thrown away. I mean, certainly here tonight, Miles the Monster was hungry and just about everybody felt his wrath.
Yeah, it was a very interesting night indeed, Seth, for all these drivers. A bunch of different things happened, different strategies, hard racing, and very long green flag runs. A lot of tire conservation. Then some drivers really using up those tires a little too quick out there tonight, Seth.
And it's going to be interesting to see, based off of what we saw here tonight, what's going to happen when we get to an equally difficult track, another track that has a moniker to its name, a couple of monikers to its name next week at Darlington Raceway. These drivers going to be racing it out on Star Wars night, May the 4th, and we will be bringing you coverage of that next Wednesday evening with the green flag scheduled to fly at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we thank you for joining us here tonight at Dover Motor Speedway. Kyle Myers, your winner. We've got a perfect 4 for 4 on the early season short track stint. And now we begin to head into Speedway territory with Darlington, Kansas coming up. We're going to be going to Charlotte Motor Speedway in a few weeks. So it'll be interesting to see now who's going to be able to tame the 1.5 to 2 mile racetracks in the upcoming month. But Kyle, once again, appreciate you joining me in the booth here tonight. It's been a good one.
Definitely a very good race here at Dover, and definitely looking forward to next week. Darlington, the track Too Tough to Tame.
Absolutely. We hope you guys will join us for that next Wednesday night. But until then, for Kyle Lawrence, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening, folks. We'll see you guys next week as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.